So now we will see pipelining concept in 8086 processor. Now before coming to pipeline concept, suppose processor is performing certain operation. So what are the sequence of the steps which processor will take, microprocessor will take to perform operation? So sequence of steps. First thing, processor will fetch the code. So whatever is the opcode which is stored in the memory, so first processor will fetch that code from the memory and bring it in instruction decoder. Now in the instruction decoder, it will be decoded by the processor. What is the meaning of that code? So the next step will be decode code. So processor will decode the code. Once it will decode the code, now the next step will be execution of that code, right? So finally processor will execute the code. So in this way, one operation will be performed by the microprocessor. Once the execution is completed for particular code, now processor will fetch the next code from the memory, it will decode it, again it will execute it. After this, again it will fetch the new code from the memory, it will decode it and execute it. So in this way, processor will perform the arithmetic or logical operation or any processing over the operation code. So here, for the fetching and execution time required by the processor will be large as compared to the decoding, right? So now what we will do, let us take one example. When the processor has to execute 3 codes, right? 3 operations it has to do. So general processor without pipeline concept. So for that, what it will do, let us assume one thing. For the fetching of the code, let us take processor requires 10 microseconds. For the decoding of the code, let us assume that it requires 5 microseconds. And for the execution, it requires 3 microseconds. So just for an example, to understand the concept, I have taken these timings. So let us assume here at this point processor starts the working. And this is so first processor will fetch the first code. So I denote it by F1. So this is 10 microseconds. Then it will decode the code. For decoding it is 5 microseconds. So let us take this up to okay. So this is decode the first code. So this is 5 microseconds. After this it will execute the code. So execution is also 10 microseconds. So let us assume 10 microseconds is exactly equal to this timing. Okay. So this is execution of first code, right? So it requires 10 microseconds. After this, it will fetch the second code. Okay. Or slightly more. This one. it is fetch second code. This is 10 microsecond. Then it will decode second code in 5 microsecond, and then it will execute second code in 10 microsecond. Then again it will fetch, then decode, then execute the third. So F3, D3 and E3. So 10 microsecond, 5 microsecond and 10 microseconds. Right? In this way, normal processor not having a pipeline concept, so it will do the thing in this way. So now to execute, so here this is the case of one general processor without pipeline. Without pipelining. So now here in this case, to execute 3 instructions, processor required here to execute one instruction, it requires 10, 5, 10, 25. So there are 3 instructions. So total it required for 3 instructions. 75 microsecond required. Now if there is a pipeline concept, right? So what is the meaning of pipeline concept? This we discussed. Suppose this is our 8086 microprocessor. We'll draw here. This is our 8086 processor. Now this processor is functionally divided in 2 parts. One is bus interface unit and second is execution unit. The purpose of execution unit is decode instruction and then execute instruction. Whereas the purpose of bus interface unit is fetch instructions. Now inside this bus interface unit there is a queue. So this is queue. 6 byte queue, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, 4, 5, 6. So, and this processor is connected to external memory, right? So this is our memory. Now in this memory, our program code is stored here, and memory is interfaced with the bus interface unit by address bus and by a data bus. So through the address bus, processor will send the address of that location of the memory from where code has to be fetched. Then that code will, through this data bus, will enter inside this bus interface unit, and then what will happen? That code will go to decoder section, right? So now for fetching of the code, let us assume processor requires 10 microseconds. So in 10 microseconds, processor will fetch the code, right? Now once code has been fetched, then it will go to decoder unit, right? So now what will happen? This decoder unit, it require 5 microseconds to decode the code and 10 microseconds to execute the code. So total 15 microseconds are required by execution unit to execute and decode. Now you think, now during this 15 microsecond, when processor is decoding and processor is executing, this bus interface unit, if it is not doing anything, it is simple idle, right? It is simple idle. So there is a waste of the time, right? So in normal processors, prior to 8086, this was the case. Once the code has been fetched from address and data bus, then it was going to the decoding section and execution section. By that time, no other code from the memory was fetched by the processor, right? So like this. So in 10 microsecond, code was fetched. After this, in 5 microsecond, processor is decoding a code, and in 10 microsecond it will execute the code. Now after this time, after execution of first instruction only, the second code was fetched, right? So in this way, this was the concept which was used in those processors which were not using pipeline concept. Now you just think, once the code has been fetched and it has been transferred to the decoder unit and execution unit. So here 15 microsecond is required. So this unit, execution unit, works in parallel with bus interface unit. Means there is no interconnection between BIU and execution unit. So it is working parallelly. Now suppose if during that period, during this period of 15 microsecond, it is possible that this processor from BIU, it should fetch the next instruction, right? It should fetch the next instruction, and it will store inside first byte location of BIU, right? Then what will happen? Once the execution completes, then the next code is already available inside your processor. It is already available inside your processor in queue. So from here itself it will come to the execution unit for the decoding and the execution purpose. So always remember, if processor is accessing something from memory, right, then it will take more time, right? Because it has to activate the memory, then memory will transfer the data over data line, then only it will come inside. So it will take more time. But once the things are available inside the processor, inside the silicon, inside the chip itself. So here your code is available inside the chip itself. So it will not take any time to fetch the code. Already it is available here. From here it will come to this place. And again it will do the decoding and execution. By that time it will fetch the other codes. So here up to 6 codes, up to 6 bytes can be fetched by the processor, and it will be stored in this queue, right? So the first byte which was fetched first, it will first go to the execution unit. Then once this byte will go to the execution unit, the second byte will come to this place. This third will come to second place. In this way it will come. So once that first byte is executed, then next byte will come to the execution unit. So in this way, both the sections, bus interface unit and execution unit, will operate in parallel. So now see what will happen. So here we have BIU operation, and here we have EU, execution unit operation. So we will start with the first instruction. So first code will be fetched by BIU. So it is exactly same. Now after that the decoding has to be done, but now the decoding will be done in execution unit, right? Once the code has been fetched, then it will go in decoder section of execution unit, then the decoder section will decode it. So now the bus interface unit fetching of first instruction job is completed. So once the code in BIU, after this the decoding of that code will be done in execution unit, execution operation. So it requires 5 microseconds, right? It requires 5 microseconds. So in 5 microseconds it will be decoded. So it is a decoding of first instruction, right? Now when the execution unit is decoding the first code, at that time your bus interface unit is idle. Now it is free because now the decoding is done by execution unit. So BIU is free. So now it can fetch the next code. So what will happen? It will fetch by this, at this time the decoding operation is transferred to execution unit. So BIU is free. So now it can fetch the next byte. For next byte again it will require 10 microseconds. So this is 5 and 50% of this up to here, I think. This is our rough diagram. Okay, this. So this is the fetching of second byte. So this byte will come and it will be stored in bus interface, this queue at first byte location, right? And at the same time execution unit, it will continue its operation, and now it has been decoded, the instruction has been decoded. Now it will execute that instruction. For the execution it requires 10 microseconds. So from here 10 is this. So this is the execution of first instruction, right? Now at this time, when the execution of first instruction is completed, now the second instruction, second code is already fetched and it is inside the queue. So now from here itself it will come to the decoder unit immediately. So now here for 5 microsecond decoding of this F2 instruction will be done. That is for 5 microseconds. So 5 will take here. This is decoding of second, right? And BIU is free, right? It will fetch now third byte. So 10 microsecond, this. It will fetch third. Then, so this will continue its operation, right? So now execution unit, up to this time it has been decoded, the decoding of this second instruction has been done, and now it will execute the second instruction. For that it requires 10 microseconds. This is 10 microseconds. This is execution, right? Because this is 5 and this is 5, 10. Now after the execution of second, already the third code has been fetched by this time, by BIU. So it is available inside the queue. So from there it will come to the execution unit. Now the decoding of second, the decoding of third code will take place, right here, for 5 microsecond D2. After this, for 10 microsecond, the execution. This is 5 microsecond and this is 5. This is the execution of D1, E1, D2, D2. This is third, not second, this is third. And execution of third. And here, after the fetching of third, it will fetch fourth in 10 microsecond. So, right? So, third F3 was fetched by this time, right? And execution of third instruction was completed by this time. So at this time, if the fourth byte is available in the queue, then controller can execute. So by this, this is F3, after this F4. So F4 was fetched by this time, right? So, and third instruction was executed by this time. So after this, execution unit can execute the fourth instruction. So now, for 5 microsecond, it will decode the fourth, right? And this, in 10 microsecond, it will execute the fourth, right? And here, this will continue, and this is your 10 microsecond, it will fetch the fifth, and it will fetch here the sixth, and it will fetch here the seventh. Like this, it will continuously fetch, and decoder unit will decode and execute by taking the bytes from this queue. So after E4, okay, will decode, execute. Okay, decoding can be done up to this 5 microsecond is left in this. So decoding of fifth. So now these two operations will be done in parallelly using pipelining, right? Concept. So by this time, how many instructions are executed? Fetched 1, D1, E1, executed 1. Fetched 2, second instruction was executed by this time. And third instruction was executed by this time. And fourth instruction was executed by this time. So by this time, 4 instructions, right, executed, right? And still we save this much time, during which the fifth instruction is decoded, right? So you just see, in 75 microseconds, right, up to here if you consider, or how much time is required to execute 4 instructions? Up to here it is 75 microsecond, and this is the 5 microsecond. We subtract this 5 microsecond from 75, so up to here it is only 70 microsecond. So 70 microseconds now required for 4 instructions, for the execution of 4 instructions. And if there is no pipeline concept, in that case 75 microseconds were required for the execution of 3 instructions, whereas in less than 75 microsecond, in 70 microsecond we executed 4 instructions, right? So here we have saved the time. So this pipeline concept is used if our processor is having 2 functional units which are operating in parallel simultaneously. So here we are having 2 functional units, bus interface unit and execution unit. Both of these units are working in parallel simultaneously. So we are able to implement the pipeline concept by implementing a queue of 6 bytes inside the bus interface unit, right? So with the pipeline concept, we are able to increase the speed of the execution of instructions.